Hello, this is David Poon. Seeing how this works, I'm going to start sharing this link everywhere to see where it actually goes because I'm trying this on YouTube as opposed to Facebook. So it might be a little bit of a change for people. So just let me please share this. Going live. Please share this link. Okay. Okay, so I see some people are watching live. Are you able to just type into the chat seeing whether or not you can actually hear me? I want to make sure and confirm that there's actually the ability to hear. Waiting for the chat, waiting for a response. I'm using a brand new setup here, so I'm just getting used to everything. The previous lives have been through Facebook, but I wanted to see how YouTube was actually going to run because I think, okay, I was first, yay. Very nice to meet you, Chris. Thank you very much. All right, yes, you can. Okay, perfect. Let me start putting this up into the Facebook group to show people that we are in fact streaming live. Okay, nice to meet you all. All right, let me just post here. Going live on YouTube to answer the questions posted here. Okay. I wish there was a more consistent way to post both on YouTube and on Facebook simultaneously. I'm guessing Facebook will be more popular amongst our users, but I have been trying to grow the Facebook community quite a bit. Sorry, trying to grow the YouTube community quite a bit. Going live to address the questions. The meeting with IRCC today. Okay, so there's that post here. Okay, posting this here. Okay, yes, you can hear. Thank you very much. Ultimately, this will just be saved on YouTube, so it's kind of a moot point. But if people like to actually be here and present to discuss things as we go live, that's always very helpful. Okay, thank you. Okay, I can see your responses now, which is good. Let me just post this onto the Facebook page. Anyone watching, if you have a moment, you can post the link into other groups or amongst people who might be interested. Going live to address the meeting with IRCC today. Okay, because growing the YouTube channel is something that I think we need to do because I prefer to actually share it here. But if people find it, did you tell them I was unpleased? I did not say out loud that I thought that that Chris was unpleased. In fact, the opposite. Someone wrote me to give some positive feedback, but overall, yes, I did clarify that there was quite a bit of discontent here. So I have a chat with a group of volunteers I refer to as the second wave because they are the group that has brought a lot of strength to us as we were starting to feel exhausted, the core team. And so I just wanted to pass along this information. Okay, perfect. And then sending this to the team as well. So trying YouTube lives. Okay. All right, so here we are at YouTube. Thank you for all you guys do. All right. Okay, so please share this link if you can, but let's begin. First, I want to thank you for all that you've done in the nice lightsabers. The lightsabers, I'm finally back home in Toronto. So I've been out of the country for quite some time. I was doing my master's in New York for quite some time. So it's nice to be home with my decorations. I don't have nice stuff, but I do have the nerd stuff, so it makes me happy. In terms of what we do all together, it's the team that gets this far. The past week, like I said, there was a group of volunteers called the Second Wave who have been doing fantastic work. and I'm just grateful. So please send us a message if you have some energy, because we could use that moving forward. I also want to thank one of our second wave members, Kara Harris, who is here in the chat, because she got me a ring light. She donated one to the campaign, and this way you can see all the blemishes and the bad hair that I bring to you guys during the lives. So thank you very much, because it really, really helps. So today I met with the IRCC. Now, this will not have all the answers, but it will give some clarity. So one big thing to go through is that the upcoming announcement in July is not a change to who is allowed into Canada. The announcement that's coming in, the plan that's coming in July is actually going to be a change in the quarantine rules. So what this means is everyone who is eligible to come into Canada are the ones who will continue to be eligible to come into Canada. This does not expand it to anyone else. So right off the bat, for temporary residents, I'm sorry, I asked specifically about temporary residents. I made the case as best I could, but because this is an incremental step, this is only a change in the quarantine for those who are already allowed to come into Canada, okay? So I'm sorry for the temporary residents. We cannot win that. I have not been able to win that battle right now, but it is something that we are not forgetting. So what this means is in July, there'll be a change to the quarantine requirements. Now, there's been a lot of questions over what this actually mean and when is the announcement, what is supposed to happen. So this is as it was explained to me. The minister's announcement of this on June the 9th was meant to just be a foreshadowing of what's to come. It was not ever intended to be a complete announcement. Now, I know that's very upsetting. We want to know the details. We want to know what's happening now. So you might say, well, why didn't they just announce it when they had everything together? Conversely, we might have also complained that we weren't told anything earlier when they're thinking about it. I wish that they had explained it better, and I discussed that there should have been a better way to communicate to us. But this is what I understand. This will be a change to the quarantine rules for anyone coming into Canada, and that will include the borders of both air and land. Now, of course, nothing is set in stone, but that's my understanding of it. Because once again, it applies to anyone who is already allowed into Canada. People are already allowed to come into Canada. This is a change to the quarantine rules, not just the hotel quarantine. This is to the quarantine rules. So because of that, land and air would be applicable. I'll get into what Faces of Advocacy are doing, but I'm just going to explain bit by bit what the discussion is. There is going to be an announcement. There's no hard date, but they are actively working on it. So a lot of questions that we're getting are, when does it happen? You know, will this be included? Will that be included? And the fact is, a lot of it is in flux. But what we do know for certain is that this will apply to anyone already eligible to enter Canada. And this will be a change of the quarantine rules. So if you understand that basic principle, we'll be able to communicate a lot of these things. All right. So in terms of the overall meeting structure, the goal of this meeting was to talk about how we can operationalize the changes that are upcoming in July, in addition to talking about immigration issues that have occurred. Now, IRCC was a very big deal to us in our initial exemptions because IRCC declares who can enter Canada. However, this upcoming change is very much a health and public safety issue because this is on quarantine. So of course, the Ministry of IRCC has a say, but they are not the vital ones that we're worried about in this case. This would be both Minister Haidu as well as Minister Blair and possibly Minister Algebra when it comes to the Ministry of Transport. But this IRCC meeting is still very much focused on immigration. So I'll go through what we talked about in the meeting in terms of immigration, and then go into July and the plan that the Face of Advocacy have. So when it comes to the immigration issues, we talked about the IRCC missing, or what we are saying are substantial delays with the extended family exemptions. I brought up specifically that there appeared to have been a huge delay in processing sometime in May and April. I'm not entirely sure why that occurred. They aren't entirely sure why it occurred, but it looks like it's actually been resolved because we have reports, including my own partner, that using the web form properly have to turn around about 4 days or so. We had someone say it happened over the weekend, which is very impressive. Anything in the government with that kind of turnaround time is quite amazing. So the question is, where did all these delays come from? So I said specifically, is tracking the IRCC missing and sending you spreadsheets actually helpful? And the answer came up to be essentially no. The reason is, if it's a 14-day delay, what's better to do is to go through your MP or email the IRCC. The reason is, if I send an additional spreadsheet, that might result in further delay. Now, that's not to say we aren't doing anything. Okay, we'll get to that. But in short, if your extended family exemption, your IMM006E, is delayed, contact your MP, email the IRCC. Now, they've told me today that web form is preferred, but they won't penalize anyone from using emails. But as of right now, the web form is just as fast as the email response. I know that wasn't the case for applications in April and May, but at the moment, that's the case. Check your spam folders. Make sure that you use the same email that you contacted them with. When it comes to the web form, when you upload something, make sure to confirm that your passport and your information has been uploaded. Because if that's not the case, there's a chance that you'll be asked for more information, and that's a delay. So to summarize, I explained very clearly that there was some delay with the applications in April or May. Something went wrong there. There was a number of delays, but it seems to be resolved now. Overall, the vast majority of us are getting processed on time. Now, if you are an outlier, an incredible outlier, 2-3 months, something is wrong, email me at poon@facesofadvocacy.com, poon@facesofadvocacy.com. Because those are the cases the IRCC wants to know about, because that is unacceptable. That kind of turnaround should not be the case. So if you are a substantial outlier, please email me. In terms of other immigration-related issues, I brought up COPRs and refugees specifically. I understand there are many complexities when it comes to confirmation of permanent residency, and as well when it comes to refugee families being reunited. In terms of anyone who is not eligible to come into Canada, those people are not being eligible to Canada next month. At least that's from my understanding under the July rules. However, there is an expected announcement soon-ish on COPR and refugees. They also mentioned that each individual refugee case they work with to essentially lighten the burden. So because I've never been in this position, I can't imagine the stress you're going through. I just want you to know that I have seen those comments and I am bringing them forward to the IRCC. I wish there is a better way to do this, but I essentially feel reassured that something is coming up for COPR and refugees. I'm sorry that I don't have more information right there. In terms of those of us who've been on the campaign for quite some time, Minister Mendicino developing the extended family exemptions was a good thing because other countries don't even have that. Like, we don't have such a thing for the US, which is why a Canadian cannot drive into the US, for example. There were a lot of delays coming in to create the extended family exemption. It took 6 months for them to do it. And while that really bothered me, it's also not unreasonable for government. The one thing that I have not been able to let go and has made me very upset is compassionate exemptions. Compassionate exemptions should have been there since day one. Those of you who've been with the campaign for a long time know the story of Donna McCall, a Canadian mother who married an American man whose American children were not able to say goodbye to her before she passed away. This story speaks to the pain of the lack of compassionate exemptions. So once again, I have asked IRCC, Minister Mendicino, to reach out to John McCall. I strongly believe that that is necessary for the healing of our campaign. In terms of the extended family exemptions, as angry and as upset I was that it didn't come faster, I have to be realistic and know that those 6 months to get there are pretty reasonable. But the compassionate exemption should have never been forgotten. And that much I really need the minister to talk to John McCall over. So that's just kind of closing the loop when it comes to the Mendocino chapter, because as I said earlier, IRCC will not be a large factor of the upcoming changes to quarantine. Because again, we're not changing who is eligible to come in. We're changing the quarantine, which is public safety and health. So today, I'd like to share something with you guys that the Face of Advocacy have been working on for quite some time. The reason why it takes so long is not only my ineptitude, but also because the world kept changing. The whole scenario changed a lot in the past little while over what was announced and the evidence that came out. But I would like to share with you guys, let me know if you guys can see it. Can you guys see this screen? It is the Family Reunification Border Transition Plan. So I'm just going to confirm that I see anything here in the chats. Looking to see if anyone can confirm that they see the screen. It looks like it's there, but until I see one of you type that you can see it, I won't be able to confirm it. Okay, yes, fantastic. So this is the Family Reunification Border Transition Plan. It's a 10-point recommendation list that I feel encompasses most of our concerns. So this is very important to understand. The government made an announcement to foreshadow what's going to change. The government has not yet actually operationalized that change. They've told us their intentions, provided COVID remains stable. Now we need to get to the point where it's actually operationalized. Operationalized means how is it actually going to work? And so this is where the Face of Advocacy need to be. So last year, the Face of Advocacy worked closely with the government to discuss the nuts and bolts, the operationalization of what became the extended family and compassionate exemptions. We need it to work for us. At this point, they're trying to make it work, but without talking with the families, without having that feedback, they may not know specifically what we need. And this might not be maliciousness. This could genuinely be they are unsure without the proper feedback mechanism. And that's where the Face of Advocacy will be best suited. So today I submitted it to public safety, health, and IRCC. I actually talked about it with IRCC. So hopefully they'll be able to review it. Now they're working quite hard on the plan. Probably a lot of the stuff they already knew about, but it's still something that we wanted to establish in writing that we're doing. And for our Reunification Thursday, this Thursday, I want every MP looking at this and reading this plan to at least know where we need to be for a good result for families. So what is this about? So the reason I call it the reason that we're calling it a pilot is because right now, only those allowed into Canada will benefit from this change in quarantine rules. That means all Canadians. The only foreign nationals who will actually benefit from this are immediate and extended family members. That means that family members will actually be the first ones coming to Canada under this new quarantine rule as foreign nationals. We are essentially the pilot project, the test subjects to see how well vaccine verification will work and how well they'll be tracking people, testing people as they come in. So that's a fantastic opportunity. One, because families should be first in the door. And two, it allows us, a group of responsible Canadians, to show Canada that immigration is not a dangerous thing. So 4 reasons why families are the ideal test subject for this is that we have a publicly sympathetic reason to enter Canada, family reunification. Last year, people were like, who cares about your partner? But now they're like, okay, we get it. You want to be your partner and your kid. Fine. How are the Maple Leafs doing? How are the Montreal Canadiens doing? Okay. So that's a sympathetic reason. Number 2, foreign nationals are accountable to a Canadian with a stable Canadian address. Everyone who filled out an IMM006E or are married to a Canadian, therefore actually are accountable to that Canadian. We also are already tracked by IRCC records, which is something a tourist would not be. And then in addition to that, we don't want to get in trouble because a lot of us want to apply for permanent residency or want to get a work permit, or we just don't want to get our partner in trouble. So for these 4 reasons, it's ideal that family members are actually the first ones through the door in this new evolving vaccine verification system. By the way, the reason we don't use the term vaccine or passport is because there are a lot of inequity issues. There's a lot of loaded language when it comes to vaccine passports. So right now we're just saying vaccine verification because that's what we need to prove that we have vaccines. And for those of you saying, what about those without vaccines or partially vaccinated, we're going to look at the 10-point plan, okay? So number 1 point on the 10-point plan is that fully vaccinated individuals must be exempt from mandatory hotel quarantine as well as home quarantine right off the bat. I'm pretty sure that's where the government is going because they said as much. So we just wrote that, get this done, give us a clear start date, okay? I'm sure they will once they know, but the fact is I want it in writing. Number 2, fully vaccinated foreign national family members should no longer be subject to the 15-day minimum stay requirement. This is probably something that they would have done, but it's also something they could have overlooked. So right now, for you to come into Canada, a foreign national has to stay a minimum of 15 days. We're saying no, forget that. If you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to stay a minimum of 15 days, and this should help a lot of border couples. Number 3, explicit clarity of the rules. It should affect the land, the air, and the sea. I'm not sure who's coming in by boat, but the sea. And it should also be explicitly stated that it'll apply to foreign national, immediate, and extended family members. The rules will already apply to them, but I want it to be absolutely clear. When I flew into Canada a few days ago, because I'm a medical worker, I'm exempt. But they told me, they said, no, you flew out of the country for not work related. So when you come in, you have to do hotel quarantine. Now I showed them on my phone, that's not the case. And then they said, oh, okay, well, you're nice, so it's okay, but I get the final decision is what they said. That kind of inconsistency is very dangerous. Now, I have no idea why that occurred. Maybe I misinterpreted the rules, but I don't think I did in this case. We need explicit clarity that it will apply to all travelers, including foreign national, immediate, and extended family members. Okay. No pre-departure testing for those coming into Canada. I don't think that'll be an argument for us. Maybe it'll come, but who knows? Arrival testing with quarantine until negative test results. Now, this is actually based on an Iceland precedent because the government of Canada's own expert panel does not recommend quarantine at all for fully vaccinated people. They come in, they do a test, but that's for tracking purposes, not actually for quarantining issues. However, I'm also cognizant that the government of Canada may not want to do very big changes politically. So I'm just saying right here, we'll do the negative test and we'll quarantine until then. The negative test might be a day or 2. As long as it's not in a hotel, I think that's pretty reasonable. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just seeing in the chat here, someone wrote so many flaws. I wasn't sure if that's regards to me. But all right, we'll continue to press forward here. More details in the document you'll all get to see soon. Here's one thing. The proof of vaccination should be presented in person or inputted in the ArriveCAN app and then confirmed by the CBSA officer. We do not want another nightmarish scenario with the IMM006 to have it notarized, sent in, and then maybe 2 weeks later it comes back. That would be the worst case scenario. So the Iceland precedent is that upon arrival, they assess it. Now, one might argue, how can a CBSA officer actually understand vaccination records? Well, conversely, they're also reviewing PCR tests. So that's already built in some way. In addition to that, by July, there should be a lot of standardized methods to actually interpret vaccination records. Regardless, we need clear instructions on the Canada.ca website on what is considered. So for example, the EU are going to have a COVID vaccine verification system through QR codes. The Americans have their white CDC card. Now, in the event that there's a more complex case, so these are the people who might have had mix and match vaccination doses. These are people who might have had overseas vaccinations, or maybe one vaccination in one country and one vaccination in another country. For those people, there must be a way. So that's delta here, D, okay? But if the government finds that these complex cases are not interpretable by the CBSA officer, there must be a way to actually verify that. And so we wrote whether or not it's a doctor's note or notarized government form. Notarized government form, IMM 006E flashbacks. But the point is, for those who are vaccinated with different vaccines, or for those who are vaccinated in other countries, this is explicitly a path for you guys. There has to be a plan for those who cannot get vaccinated and for those who are partially vaccinated. We defer to the government's expert panel. So this is something that we're making as clear as we can. Some of you may not remember this, but during the initial time of the restrictions, there were a good handful of us, my own partner included, who went to the border, were rejected, and had to leave. These people, I don't know what kind of record IRCC might have. My partner was told that this would not ultimately affect her longstanding immigration. And I think that if anyone actually reads it, they go, oh, they tried to come in during COVID. They didn't understand the rules. They're pushed back. I suspect, and this is based on nothing, but I hope that there's no long-term issue. Regardless, point 8 is saying that if someone was denied during COVID for family reunification, this record should be unflagged or expunged. I don't know the actual intricacies of this. If one of you guys are immigration consultants or know the ins and outs, please let me know. Because this is something that I want done, not only because personally my own partner went through it, but there's a good number of us who were actually rejected at the border during this very difficult time. In regards to accompanied minors, the current rules are the accompanied minor will follow whatever quarantine the guardians have. So if the guardians don't have to do hotel quarantine, neither should the kid. I just wanted that preserved. In addition to that, unaccompanied minors should not be subject to any hotel quarantine and allowed to safely quarantine at a household where all household contacts will follow public health guidance. So it's in there because we wanted the safest way to go about it. And an unaccompanied minor who is not vaccinated, because they cannot get vaccinated, should not be in a hotel. But for the safety of Canadians at the moment, follow public health guidance and whatever that might be. So I cannot tell you if that's going to end up with the family not having to vaccinate when the unaccompanied minor arrives in the house, but you are not forgotten. And then the last thing is essentially a repudiation of the hotel quarantine. This is a discussion where we're saying there should be no hotel quarantines, and those who went through hotel quarantines should be refunded. Particularly if you were found to have been exempt from it. So this would be the case of, let's say in July, one of you guys fly in, you're fully vaccinated. They say, no, you got to go to hotel quarantine. And it turns out, no, you were supposed to be exempt. There has to be a refund mechanism here. In addition, those who have already gone through this for family reunification, I think it's important to have a possibility of a refund mechanism. And then lastly is there should be refunds for unused nights. I think that is very reasonable. I cannot be certain if the government will take all 10 of these recommendations, but what I can be certain of is we are going to push and make sure every MP reads this. And hopefully the top people will take a few of the recommendations. I have a strong suspicion most of these are already in the pipeline. I don't think the unaccompanied minors or the accompanied minors are going to change. I think they are already doing this based on the statements we've had. I don't know if refunds are actually going to occur, and I have no idea about expunged records or whatnot. But these 10 things are the ideal plan that we want out of the government. And we are waiting to see whether or not this will actually occur. And there's no guarantee that the government will follow our goals, but we can hope that we can push them because they're developing the plan right now to get to a stage where it's close enough to the family reunification transition plan. I believe the Faces of Advocacy have put together a very reasonable plan with a very reasonable reason to follow it. And that's what our next push is going to be on. Let me just check my notes to see if there's anything outstanding that I wanted to talk about with before we go into question and answers. No, so we'll go into question and answers. For those of you with energy, we could use a lot of help kind of getting our membership moving. In the past couple weeks, the second wave have been enormously effective. They put together a great number of stories, emails, the campaign to press forward. And whether or not we made an announcement happen faster, maybe it was going to happen without us, I'm not entirely sure, but we certainly were noticed. And we will continue to do so as we press forward. All right, so let's go through this here. Thank you again for this wonderful ring light, courtesy of Kara Harris. Do we know if we're changing land border rules? From my understanding, the land border quarantine rules will change alongside the airline ones. Sorry, in regards to the vaccines that are not the big four, we wrote in the family reunification transition plan that there should be they should be looking into other vaccinations that are not the big four. We wrote specifically expedited assessments of vaccines other than the currently available 4 vaccines approved by Health Canada. So I cannot comment further on that, but there are so many people who have been vaccinated with other vaccines, and they also have families in Canada. This is something in the family reunification transition plan that I hope gets highlighted. Yeah, so that's the answer to you, Malia. Lori G says there's no sound. Have you guys not heard me the entire time? Thank you for speaking for refugee families. Thank you for supporting the face of advocacy. I'm so sorry for the position that you're in. I wish we could do more. This is the best we can do right now. In terms of visa processing, that's something outside of our wheelhouse. I don't have any expertise there, but in the group message on our daily threads. Notaries are no good. The process makes it difficult for older individuals. I don't know what to say about notaries. I'm glad they take online notaries. I know it's difficult. So all I can say is if you know someone who's older and has trouble, the Face of Advocacy group has been so good because I see so many of you messaging, download Adobe, download it like this, print it out, sign it. Like, you guys have all been fantastic to one another, and that level of community has been really good. Spousal sponsorship, Malia, if you type in the word mandamus in the Face of Advocacy, you might see what other people have done. We organized something called the Mandamus Writs back in February or March, and from my understanding, a lot of people got their applications processed. Not necessarily accepted, but processed. You're nice too, JB. I'm late to the party. Has anyone gone over what the IRCC said to him? You guys, please share this link with people. Oh, while you're here, please like and subscribe to the Face of Advocacy page. Wow, do I feel like a shill for saying that out loud? But we do need larger numbers to help us enact change. So if you can, share this with one other person who's not subscribed to our channel, and please just help us grow this. Then YouTube, I think, is our next major milestone of social media to press forward, unless we're going to do a TikTok. But I mean, okay. Thank you, Justin, for being here, our Chief of Staff. Yeah, he's been very helpful. Sorry, just scrolling through here. Okay. I'm not your voice. You guys have all been fantastic. You all have your own voices, and we're just working together. I say this in most videos, but the Faces of Advocacy, we're not led by anyone. I'm the founder, fine, but like the whole team, all of you guys, we're more like a federation. We all work independently together, pressing forward in an organized fashion, and that's just beautiful. You know, you guys have never needed a leader. Okay, thank you for all you do as well. Thank you to Amy Rockwood, who helped us with a lot of the proofreading of the Family Reunification Transition Plan. In terms of the changing in quarantine, the changes in quarantine are going to happen. We're just making sure it's explicitly written the way we need it to work. In terms of land, the land testing, we're hoping will just simply match we'll match the air and the sea with whatever they do. Like there needs to be consistency. Would there be oversight for CBSA for cases of rejection, specifically for Johnson & Johnson, like a silent, irrational fear of mine? Not irrational at all. When you guys rewatch the video, you'll hear that. I mean, I came back myself to Canada 2 days ago, and I do believe that I was told either erroneous information or the agent might have misunderstood, I believe, the rules. Or maybe I'm wrong. But CBSA oversight or immigration watchdog has essentially been where the face of advocacy wanted to transition from after we had succeeded in obtaining our IMM 006E and the compassionate exemptions. After that, though, we tried pushing with temporary residence and the hotel quarantine came in, and that brings us to today. But that's ultimately the long-term goal. One day we should just all chit-chat about the future of the faces. But right now, our immediate goal is to get further engagement from our Facebook group, from our members to expand, because we need more letters out and we need MPs reading the Family Reunification Transition Plan. Shout out to Jennifer Bignell, who has been one of our translators, who has helped us a great deal during the campaign. So the pre-departure testing is recommended to be done with, according to the expert panel. I have no idea what the government's going to do. If they require pre-departure testing, we assume it'll be for land and air and sea. I have no idea. But in our family reunification transition plan, we're saying there should be no pre-departure testing because it's not scientific. It's just simply not what we need. Will the announcement be made after 7/20? I mean earlier than that, because the idea was that it's supposed to be implemented by early July. I have no idea. Okay, so we're at the end of this. Everyone watching, thank you for watching. Please share this link with other people. Please be kind and please try to help one another. There's something that I wanted to kind of say to you guys. And so it's written down only because I want to make sure to get all the nuances correctly. But I would like to point out the fact that over the past week, we have reached out to all the face of advocacy asking what we can do better. What we found was many of you were admitting about the lack of self-responsibility. Essentially, at that point, it feels like you want others to do the work for you. Asking an easily searched question that someone else has answered, letting others put themselves out there to fight while you sit back. Sometimes I feel that some of the members are grumbling and being upset as opposed to advocating for change. Now, I don't talk about my daily life that often, but I'm a family physician and mental health is a big thing. But the thing is, you are not my patients. And the face of advocacy are a bunch of volunteers pushing at this. And the general consensus from the team is that we're starting to run out of energy. Thank goodness for the second wind. Many of your members who've been able to help us with, push forward. But we could use some help here. And it's starting to feel like people are more willing to vent their concerns, then address them. We know that some people are uncomfortable. We know that some people are scared. We're all very tired. But ask yourself this, is this worth fighting for? When you say, I would do anything to be with your loved one, do you mean it? So this fight is nowhere near at an end, and it has felt like forever already. So we need all of you. And I promise we together, not giving up, will find a way through this. So I ask you to please take responsibility of yourself, and along the way, please help someone else. Each day, scan the daily discussion posts, find one person who has asked a question, show them how to answer it. Show them where the search bar is, show them maybe how to find the videos, because this way we can build organically and move forward together. There are very few questions that are being asked that have never been asked before. And admittedly, sure, some things go out of date, but we're talking repeated questions that have already been answered. So you guys watching right now, you guys are probably very active, and I'm so grateful. If you can, after this, share this YouTube link with someone else in a different group, someone else struggling. Please try to get an extra like to this page, another subscription, or just help someone else. On a personal note, today I started a new job, and I promise you, I'm not giving up anything with Face of Advocacy, but it's difficult to balance. And the team, they've been working nonstop, and I feel so bad for them. Second Wind, thank you for being here. We'll be relying on you soon. If you have something to offer, if you're able to help us, please let us know in the daily discussion threads. You can email me, poon@facesofadvocacy.com, type in the chat here. Share this video, send your advocacy letters, help one another. It means a great deal. Thank you all. All right, so just going through here, seeing if there's anything else here in the chats. Thank you, Melissa. The team is wonderful. They pull it all together. The news about refugee families, is it coming up this month? I have no idea. They told me something's coming up soon. Gave me a little nod. They don't tell me anything in regards to dates. And full disclosure, if they did, I would not tell you, because they've told me in my confidence. It's maybe an old school doctor thing, but if it's told to me in confidence, I cannot share it. But I would, however, if I knew something like I do now, I'll tell you, don't give up, we're close to the end. And these kind of things, I hope I will earn your trust to move forward like that. Okay, good. Yeah, the change in the possibility of quarantine has really rejuvenated a lot of us. But in the down months, we also need your energy too. You'd love to have a doctor as driven as me? No, you would want a competent doctor, not one like me. I think that's you, Bobby. Hi, thank you very much for your support as always and for your help, despite our disagreements. Thanks for always welcome to help. All right, guys, see you later. Please share this YouTube video. If you don't know how to do it, there's a share button here. Share it with one other person. Get someone to help answer questions. Follow our social media, in particular the YouTube. Wonderful to see you. I don't know when I'll be back. Maybe tomorrow at the same time. I don't know. Thanks for coming. See you guys.